Hello, Sunday today, and I'm back doing my live. And if you're watching me for the first time, I'm coming on live because I've got a challenge and I'm supposed to come on live every day. So I want to make all these lives more meaningful, treating it like a digital journal so that when I get reminded by Facebook a year later, it'll be a good memory. So today is Sunday, and Sunday is a bit slow. It's to relax. So I actually just came back from my gym. I'm trying not to frown. I had a chance to book a slot at the gym. However, I didn't know that I had to put on my mask, and it was supposed to be a session of hot yoga. Okay, so that was an interesting experience. And why am I talking about this is because while I was in the gym room, prior to arriving at the gym, I was actually listening to a kid story book. Sometimes I like to listen to kids' storybooks selectively because it's really probably more meaningful for adults, especially if you know who's the author. So I'm actually listening to this audiobook, and it feels good. It's like someone's reading it to you, like storytelling. And it was about two kids who are probably not that sociable, but they kind of befriend with each other. And they actually have a tree house, and they have lots of fun in the tree house, of course. And they also have a friend by the name of Solomon. So this book is Sarah's, it's a book about Sarah with Solomon, featherless friend, because Solomon is a wise old owl. So Sarah and her friend Seth has a tree house, right? And they have lots of fun. Every day after school, they get to go there, they get to swing the ropes across the river. However, one day, Seth's father told him that, hey, that tree house is actually on someone else's property and the owner isn't too happy with it. And he actually has plans to chop down the tree. So, the kids probably felt really devastated. So Solomon came in. He said, well, start thinking about why do you like the tree, what fun you had at the tree house, and keep holding the good thoughts. Because if you're feeling lousy about the thought that the tree is going to be chopped down, guess what's going to happen? It's about the expectation. And when you're in the situation, of course, being the kids, you're like, no, it's not fair, it's a nice, good tree house. Why does it have to be removed? So as the story goes, both the kids went home, and Sarah kept holding on to the images of how much fun she had in the tree house with Seth, and she kept thinking about the fun moments, and she fell asleep. The next morning she woke up. It was a Saturday. She didn't have to go to school, and her mom said she could spend the afternoon doing whatever she wants. So she wanted to go back to the tree house. On the way, she cut through the land of the garden that belongs to the owner, who is the owner who wanted to chop down the tree where they had their tree house. And Sarah actually saw Mrs. William. And Mrs. William was feeling a bit flustered. She sounded as if she was sobbing. And Sarah asked, hello, are you okay? And Mrs. Williams said, no, I'm not, because my cat is stuck up in a tree and I've been trying to get my cat down. So Sarah was like, I can help you, right? I'm really good with trees. So she climbed up the tree, she managed to coax and calm the cat and brought the cat down. So Mrs. Williams was very thankful, and Mrs. Williams started talking to Sarah and said, you're really good with trees. And Sarah said, yeah, my mom said I'm really good at climbing at trees even before I could walk. And somehow Mrs. Williams mentioned about her husband wanting to chop down a tree, which some kids had built a tree house. Sarah looked down and she told Mrs. Williams, actually that's my tree house. My friends and I have been hanging out there. And Mrs. Williams was a little bit surprised. And she said, well, if my husband saw how you saved our cat who stuck from the tree and seeing how agile and how nimble you are, he probably wouldn't want to chop down the tree and destroy the tree house. So Sarah got excited because she was holding good thoughts about the tree house, the fun she had, and next morning things started to unfold. And I was excited to hear the ending. Of course, I hope there's a happy ending given that it's a kid's story, but I have to pause and go for my yoga class. So while I was in my yoga class, because I had to mask on, I wasn't expecting it. I almost was half thinking, should I leave? I mean, it's really hard to breathe with my mask on. I won't really get the workout I want. I'll be feeling flustered because yoga is for me to relax. But thank goodness I was thinking of the story of how Sarah and Seth were worried about their treehouse being destroyed. So I kept myself calm and start thinking about the good stuff, like, wow, at least I got a slot for the gym for this class because it was a limited capacity. I think there were less than 10 mats in the room. It's like, well, at least I get to work out. It's been a long time since I get to go to the gym. And everybody's also putting their mask on and they're doing their best to enjoy the session. So the good news is that I completed my entire 90 minutes of Bikram with my mask on. Bikram is a hot yoga. I got my mask on and the instructor also didn't put the temperature to the max. But it was good that at least I came out of the yoga class not feeling flustered or annoyed because I had to mask on, and I still had a good sweat. It wasn't as much as I would like it to be, but it was still a decent workout. So that's how a Sunday is like for me. I'm glad I was listening to that kid's story which I could apply and could put in practice immediately. So I don't know about you. How are you again? So how do you spend your Sunday? I usually like to read a little bit, and a kid's story is always a good reminder. So as for Sarah and Seth, yes, they did get to keep their tree house. There was some little disruption that happened along the way. It wasn't that smooth sailing, but Solomon, being their wise friend who is also an owl, reminded the kids to keep holding the good thoughts of the outcome they like to have, and it will all pan out if you trust in it. Okay, so I hope you have a good Sunday as well, relaxing somewhere, doing something that you're enjoying, and I hope to see you back with me on a live tomorrow. And if you're watching this on a replay, feel free to hashtag replay, and perhaps let me know what are you reading today. Perhaps a nice kids book which is good for adults to read sometimes, because sometimes being adults, we like to overcomplicate stuff, and kids' books are a good reminder of how simple things can be. Okay? Hi Ben, so thanks very much for coming on live with me. Hope you have a good weekend too. See you tomorrow. Take care. Bye.